name's Wendle Lewis. I fight out of Team Titan. I've been fighting on and off now since 2005, but I turned professional December 2009. I'm scheduled to fight December 3rd on UCMMA, one of the biggest, most well-known shows in the UK. Okay, I had my first martial arts lesson from my dad. I think I was about 7 years old. He just taught me basic self-defense punches. I remember he used his hands, as most people like use pads. He taught me like how to throw straight punches and straight kicks and stuff. And all I remember from my first lesson was like actually hitting his hands as hard as I could, and it was my hands that were hurting me. Like his hands were like rocks, man. And from there, he enlisted me into karate. I spent about 9 years learning Goju karate alongside my brother and my sister at the time. So yeah, pretty much it was like an integral thing with family. Like, you know, my brother and sister were doing it, and then I just fell into it, and my little brother's doing it now as well.
It seems like a lot of people from West Indian backgrounds seem to have an obsession with when in their youth doing something with martial arts.
Yeah, it's always like the older generation. They get like the videos, and I guess that's how. Well, I remember a lot of quality time with my dad was spent watching martial arts videos. I think it's the same in a lot of West Indian houses and that, with like father-son kind of relationships, or even in some cases daughter-father, you know, because my sister was in on it occasionally as well. So yeah, I guess that's where my love and passion for like martial art and boxing kind of stemmed from, and I've just been rolling with it since. I started my camp. Typically I do like a 10-week camp, and I build slowly towards reaching my peak. So I've enlisted the help of Samuels, jiu-jitsu coach, one of the best in my opinion. The reason why I say that is because he's got such a passion for what he teaches, and I'm still trying to develop a jiu-jitsu game. And I had trouble kind of developing a liking for it until I went to Jude's. So, you know, not only with his technique, but the ability to convey that passion across to me. That's why I kept going to him and kept trying to learn. So there's Jude Samuel. There's also my strength and conditioning coaches. I got Sunny Delakia, who I've been working with now for 2 years, since my first professional fight. He came down here to give a group fitness session, and from the first class that he gave, I knew that was the man I wanted to work with in terms of conditioning. So we also have a tight bond. Then there's my strength and power coach, who is Lawrence, based down in Liverpool Street. He's been helping me with explosion, strength and power and stuff. And then there's Jess Lauder, who occasionally I try and meet up, and we try and get as much sparring in together. He was actually my first MMA coach when I decided to get into MMA back in 2005. So now it's kind of an honour for me to move from student to sparring partner with him, you know. So like occasionally we try and get as many rounds in as possible. That's pretty much it. Cool. Well, at the moment, I try and train, because I work as well as a personal trainer, so I vary it. I start off training maybe 4 days a week, and it will be based a lot around strength, power, and I'd take the weakest part of my game and I'd focus a lot on that at the beginning stages. As I get into the middle phase of my training, I try and encompass everything, like the wrestling, like boxing, striking, start building on my conditioning quite early as well. Towards the end, I'm training about maybe five days a week, sometimes twice if I can fit the time in around work. And I start doing a lot more rounds as well, a lot more live. When we say live rounds, it's pretty much like sparring or worst case scenario drilling and stuff like that when I'm 4 weeks away from a fight, until I get right up to the week where I need to cut the weight down. And I pretty much slow the pace down of training and just focus on losing that weight.
What is your weight? You're walking around weight?
Okay, well, walking around weight, I would say about 87 if I'm, yeah, about 87, 88 kilo.
Because you're not.
Yeah,
fighting
no way, man. I try and get down to about 84, which I am now, and then cut the rest within a couple of weeks.
Because I think that's one of the first things I noticed when I started doing this. So many of the fighters are way bigger than
it's mad.
their actual,
crazy.
Their actual weight class that they fight in. I thought that, for example, if you want to be a welterweight, you might be a middle. But a lot of fighters are sometimes borderline light heavy.
Yeah, I mean that's a good rule of thumb though. It is typically welterweight is 170, and the average welterweight would walk around at the limit of a middleweight. That is kind of a nice rule of thumb to go by. But then you get the exceptions, man. Like we've got two massive welters here, Bola and Luke. Bola's probably what, like 88, 89 and stuff, and Luke is probably 87. And then you got myself, 87, 88. You know, so yeah. But that is roughly. You could use those as guidelines, like about 15 pound away from your target.
And do you reckon?
In a word, it's an honour really to be amongst guys that apply their trade abroad, guys that are well capable of applying their trade abroad, and guys that are leading the scene on the UK, in the UK as well. I mean, like, obviously top of the food chain here, in my opinion, would be Brad. Then you got Jason Young, then you got Ashley Grimshaw. They kind of spearhead the team. And then you got the guys that are working their way up to that level. Then you got the guys that are on the domestic scene as well. So yeah, it's amazing to, like, these guys travel to learn stuff, and then obviously the guys here would benefit from the teachings that they pick up abroad and stuff. But there is a pressure to kind of live up to that expectation as well, you know. Nobody wants to let the squad down at all. Everybody wants to represent properly for Team Titan, you know. So that pressure kind of means that we train extra hard to maintain the brand name, and keep people coming here to learn and stuff. Oh, definitely straight away. Bola Omoyele, another welterweight and close friend of mine, and Luke Newman. These guys are outstanding, phenomenal. They train not only in Titan, but also they have the opportunity to travel abroad to ATT, to come back here, and then they kind of, as they're approaching fight time, they're here and we're drilling together and they fight. Those are definitely two up-and-comers you want to keep your eye on.
You mentioned ATT. And like you said, a number of your teammates currently split their camps between American Top Team and Team Titan, such as Brad Pickett, as you said, Luke, Michael, and Bola. Do you ever plan on doing the same in the
definitely.
future?
I had the pleasure of meeting Conan Silveira probably about a year ago for the first time. Up until then, it's all really surreal for me, because when I started thinking about mixed martial arts, it was Conan that I was watching. I think it was Extreme Cage Fighting or something, and that's when they had like minimal rules, and I was watching him compete against some of the pioneers in the sport. And 5-6 years later, I'm standing next to Conan, so it was really touching moment for me, and it motivated me to kind of really apply myself even more in training. So the next step for me is to head out to his camp and really put myself through the paces there amongst some of the best in the world, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that.
The sharks
It's a scary thought, man, because they tell me, you know, how hard the training is there. But I know if I want to be one of the best in the world at my weight class, I'm gonna head over there definitely next year. Andy Cona, from what I know, seems to have an unlicensed boxing background, I think. That's about all I know for him, which is good and a bad thing. It means that for me, I've got to cover all bases just in case, because I don't want to get caught out or surprised by anything. But what springs to mind with Andy is that he's got good hands, and that's about it. I had the opportunity of watching him the last show and saw how Luke manipulated him to the floor and controlled him and stuff. So you know, we kind of based our plan around that. But obviously, myself and Luke are two different fighters. So you know, just because Luke beat him in the fashion that he did doesn't mean that I'm planning to do the same thing. You know, I've got a few surprises in store for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any pressure. You could perceive it as added pressure for me to win, but I mean, as much as it is a team sport, it's an individual sport as well, in my opinion. Each fight that I have is kind of like an evolution of my skill. What have I learned since my last fight? So I'm looking forward to showing the crowd, showing the fans and stuff, even showing my teammates, implementing what I've learned in between fights and stuff. I'm always looking to change things up, pick up new stuff in between fights, so I'm looking forward to displaying that. There's not much pressure.
Because I think that is one of the things about your game, is that in between fights, from what I've seen, you have continued to evolve.
Exactly.
What pressure do you feel in between those fights? Do you feel at times that you're not moving as quickly as you have done in the past?
Yeah, family, friends, they all tend to kind of pick up on how much of a harsh critic I am on myself. Like the wins that I've had professionally so far have been okay, but because they're wins, I look deeper than that. I look for smaller faults. Like even with the knockout last year, I still picked up on faults that I had with my boxing. So yeah, I'm always looking to kind of improve and work on them holes, because I don't want them exploited in a fight, you know. I'll have them exploited in the gym because I'm amongst some of the best, but I'm planning never to have them exploited in the ring, you know. Well, this time next year, I would like to be looking at European competition, so or having the ability to mix it up with some of Europe's best, not quite Worlds. I don't think I'll be ready by then, but yeah, moving up the rankings in UCMMA, definitely. Hopefully approaching like the main card on UCMMA. I'd love to have the opportunity to fight on the live card. Yeah, and just continue winning, man. Continue improving between fights. That's pretty much it.
Cool, because it looks like if things go to plan, Team Titan could be running Russia over UCMMA, really.
In my opinion, there have been. I mean, I don't want to sound like big-headed or anything, but Team Titan fighters are on the ends of people's mouths whenever they come to a UCMMA event. You know, not to disrespect any other camp, but I feel because of the way that we conduct ourselves and the way that we perform or fight in the ring, you know, we kind of get the brand name out there, we get the club's name out there and get people aware of our gym. And obviously with people in the UFC that train here, that's even more of a boost for the guys as well. You know, we're all aiming to get there one day.
Cool. Well, thank you for...
Thanks a lot, man. That's cool. My pleasure.
Thank you very much.